Hi friends, and welcome back to the Beginner Breakdown series. Today I'm going to be sharing with you another video right out of my brand new worship piano course, Basic Essentials and Foundations. We're going to be taking a tour of some different types of chord charts, kind of walking you through what the difference is between those chord charts, how to read those chord charts. We're also going to be covering some great resources and websites for you to get some very accurate and reliable chord charts. I know that as a beginner, it can be really hard starting off, just kind of understanding chord charts, understanding different kinds of chord charts, how to read them, just how to understand them. So today we're going to cover all those things and we're going to answer those questions for you. So we're going to jump right into this lesson. So let's talk about a few different types of chord charts. There's three types of chord charts specifically that I would like to talk with you about. One of them is a stage chart. One of them is a rhythm chart, which we actually have already had a sneak peek at. And then the last one I'm just calling a common chord chart because it's just kind of the most common format of a chord chart that you typically see, whether that just be one that you pull up online or one that you might purchase from a specific website, which we will also talk about that as well. Just a few different websites and some places that you can get some really good quality chord charts for worship songs from. First chord chart we're going to take a look at here together is called a stage chart. So this chart is super simple. There's not a lot going on. I like to call this chart just kind of a bare bones type of chart. What we see here is we see up on the right-hand corner, we have our 4/4, which we've already learned about. So that's our time signature. We also see, you see the number 76, and then you see BPM. That is actually the tempo of our song. So we haven't talked about tempo yet. We obviously know what time signature is, but basically tempo just tells us how fast we play the song. So where our time signature, tells us, the number of beats that a particular bar within that song gets, our tempo just tells us how fast or how slow we play those beats. And the acronym there, BPM, stands for beats per minute. So basically what that's saying is the number of beats this song gets per minute. Then to the left of that, we see the letter C, and you may have guessed this, but that is telling us our key signature. So our key signature for this song is the key of C. And then if we just kind of move down looking at this chart, again, like I said, there's not a lot going on. So actually the way that this stage chart is set up is we have where it says the intro, so what we're playing during the intro, and then it has verse, chorus, bridge, and to the right of it, it just shows us simply the chord progression for each one of those sections of the song. It's kind of within the name, but this stage chart is just simply a chart to have on stage with you. That's a very simplified version of the chart to not take up a lot of room on stage, just to give you a cue of the chord progression in each section of the song. So that's kind of it for a stage chart. The next chord chart that we're going to look at is kind of what I just call a common chord chart. So this is the most common format that you are probably going to see for a chord chart. This chord chart simply has the chords right above the lyrics, which is really nice because that kind of gives us a cue as to where the transition of those chords take place in line with the lyrics of the worship song that we might be playing or leading or singing. Also on this chord chart, you'll see in the top that it also has our time signature 4/4, it has our tempo, and then it also has our key signature. So that is something that you're normally going to always find on every chord chart. Also too, this chord chart has a few cool little extra things in it. At the very top, you see that it kind of has the structure of the song laid out for you. So it kind of gives you a little bit of a preview as to the running flow or structure of the song, as well as if you check out in that little intro box, it has a few cues as well of instrumentation of where those instrumentations get added as you progress through the song. So this chord chart has actually some extra details, and it is based off of the specific recording of this worship song. And this chord chart I particularly got from multitracks.com, which is a great place to get worship chord charts if you're looking for a place to purchase some. The stage chart that I showed you first, I got that from a website called praisecharts.com, which is also a great place to download and purchase worship chord charts from. The rhythm chart that I showed you previously in this course also came from praisecharts.com, and we'll take another quick peek at that rhythm chart here in a moment. This chart right here, again, this is a common chord chart. This is typically what you're going to see whenever you download a chord chart or you're learning a new worship song and you pull up a chart or purchase a chart for it. So it's pretty straightforward, has the chords for each section of the song above the lyrics. And again, like I said, this chord chart has a few extras, which is pretty nice as well. Last but not least, let's take another quick peek at a rhythm chart. So again, we have already saw this chart earlier in the course, but again, it is kind of the one thing that I will say that I like that is nice about a rhythm chart is you can see those bars and measures very visibly, as well as you can see the number of beats that each chord gets within that measure and within the bar. For the song How Great Is Our God, if you look at, we'll just pick one of those lines there, you can see the C major chord or F major or the A minor chord, whichever one you want to take a look at. You see how that chord stretches over 2 bars, so we would actually be able to tell within this song that that chord gets 8 counts, so it gets 2 bars while we're playing it. That is one thing that is great about a rhythm chart, is that you can visibly see the number of beats that each chord gets. So it's a little bit more, I guess you could say, informative. And in the past, when I was learning how to play or still growing in my gift, a lot of times if I was playing a more difficult song or a worship song that required a higher level of skill, a lot of times I would download a rhythm chart just because I was able to really see the transitions of chords, and it made it a little bit easier for me when I was learning a really harder worship song or a worship song that took a lot more skill. So again, that's a stage chart. That's kind of a common chord chart, what it looks like. And then again, that is another sneak peek at a rhythm chart and kind of what that looks like. So just kind of wanted to expose you to some different chord charts so that you're familiar with some of the things that you're going to see as you continue on this journey and continue to play worship music, continue to worship the Lord in your private time, whether that be just in your private time or on stage or you're leading worship or whatever that looks like for you. Also, too, just a quick pro tip here, you're going to see and download a lot of charts from online. Sometimes those places are not 100% accurate. So just look out for that. There's a lot of chord charts out there that are not accurate that you could download from the web. That's one reason why I highly recommend multitracks.com, praisecharts.com, and there's a lot of other places that are really great and really reliable to get an accurate chord chart for a specific worship song. So also too, those sites have chord charts that match specific recordings, because a lot of worship songs have also been recorded many, many times by multiple different worship artists, and there's times where they might do a little bit different of an arrangement, and sometimes they even change the chord progression just slightly depending on the version of the worship song. So those are a few pro tips for you. That's an overview of chord charts. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you soon.